Welcome to Brothers King Media, where we view eternity through the lens of art. My name is Samuel.
And I'm Solly.
And welcome back to the second time around of our new edition here. And Solomon, I looked at one of our videos on YouTube, and we had 4 whole views.
One of ours?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, we're moving up in the world.
I don't know if it was just me watching it 4 times, or if someone actually went and watched it of their own free will. But we had 4 views.
4 views, man. Hey, we're moving up in the world, bro.
Yes. Maybe you can start advertising.
Maybe. Hey, guys, we got 4 whole views, man. Go watch it.
Just start putting the link on your pages. All right. So let's go ahead and jump right in here. With the Christian billboard, what's number 1? Our first segment.
Well, what's number 1?
Still Lauren Daigle.
But we're going to move on to what's number 2.
Yes, because she charts 34 on the charts for 34 weeks. And, I don't know how much longer she's going to be there. So
it was 34 weeks last week.
It's 34 weeks this week.
Oh, was it?
So, regardless, we're going to go ahead and move on to number 2 on the billboards, which is
King and Country.
For King and Country, God Only Knows. Great song.
Yeah, God Only Knows.
I'm really hoping this is like a slight renaissance in Christian pop music, because that's 2 songs in a row now.
Yeah.
That are actually interesting.
Right.
That aren't just a generic worship song. I appreciate that.
Not that we don't appreciate generic worship songs.
But there's a time and place,
There's
right?
a time and place.
And
That's what Sunday morning is for.
I like seeing it. This feels like almost a throwback. This song feels like something DC Talk would have done back in the 90s, honestly.
I could actually hear Mike Tate singing it.
Couldn't she, though? And, like, Kevin Max backing him up?
God only knows. Yeah, I could.
I could totally hear
And then you got, like, Toby Mac, like, God only knows. God only knows.
No, he wouldn't do that. Like, latter-day DC Talk, he would just be whispering. God only knows. That's what he'd be doing one at a time.
Yeah. Like, that's his line, man. You just say this every third clap, okay?
Yeah. I say the MC Toby Mac would have been like 93, which thankfully they walked away from.
God only knows.
That hurts.
Their very first album, man.
Oh man, that hurts.
It didn't exist. Hurts. Let's just pretend that never happened.
This song reminds me a lot of, and I hate to say this, but if you've paid attention at all to pop music the past year or two, it's been very similar to this.
Right.
Kind of a dreary pop that's almost like a dubstep, but very minor key, very sad sounding.
Right.
I think one of the gals' name that's been going through, what's her name? Ship or... I can't remember it now.
Ship.
I can't remember.
Darn it. I don't know who you're
I should have done my research. But there's been several artists, like the past year or two, that have all done a similar style to this.
Mm-hmm.
The big difference here is obviously they, rather than singing about just heartbreak or singing about, vague issues... at least in the music video, they make it very clear they're singing about, don't commit suicide.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah, it's just another one of those songs where the only reason why it's on the Christian station, I feel like, is because it says, God only knows.
Well, the reason why it's on the Christian station is because it's for King Country, right, on a Christian record label.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, like, it's one of those things that gets classified as Christian because they don't understand, like, I mean, yeah, God only knows, but, like, that's just a term everyone uses, is like, God only knows, man.
But even at that, like, if you took it on a deeper theological level, even that's not bad of only God knows what you've been going through, the facade you've been putting on for other people, etc.
Right.
Like, that is some good stuff. It's, like I said, this feels like a little bit of a renaissance, but at the same time, it's not particularly deep. It's still pretty surface level. It's nothing we haven't heard before.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing groundbreaking or make my brain think.
Hey, well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's good music. It doesn't have to make you think to be good music. And also, imitation is the best form of flattery, and we think that it kind of imitates a little bit of DC Talk. So
hey, there you. I would love to like hear some latter day. I promise if DC Talk, I don't know in their current age, but back in their prime when they were 30, if they had like kind of copied today's modern pop music, they would actually be thriving. Like I could just hear them doing it so well.
They'd still be doing so well. Like, I mean, what's going on now? I mean, because like we've got Kevin Max, who's like
doing his
rock,
own thing.
little rock thing.
He's doing a lot of new wave lately.
Is it new wave?
A lot of 80s techno.
Well, then you've got, Michael Tate, who's straight up pop. Then you've got Toby Mac, who's kind of getting into a little bit more of the
slow R&B.
Yeah. And
like
I
his
feel
last album is it's more mature.
Yeah. Way more mature.
Like, hey, Toby Mac finally grew up at 50.
Yeah. It's like, he ain't trying to be gangsta no more.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm being my own age.
He's like, he's like, I can't play basketball.
Yeah.
And I most certainly do not like watermelon.
So, that's the song that's at number 2. And I know I'm briefly mentioned it, but great music video. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was a good music video.
So I am all for this trend. I hope it continues, and we'll kind of see what happens.
Yeah. Go watch the music video, guys.
God only knows for King Country. All right, let's move on to topic number 2. Whatever happened to those guys?
Yeah.
Whatever
I'm
happened?
Not sure. Who are we talking about?
Solomon. Whatever happened to Jars of Clay?
Oh gosh. Let's see. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was like, what's his name? Steve. No, it's the lead guitar player. What's his name?
Yeah, Steve Mason.
Is it Steve Mason? Yeah, he's got that barbershop going.
Okay, I mean, let's back up a little bit. Jars of Clay hasn't made an album since 2013.
Oh, yeah.
That album got virtually no play on Christian radio. It wasn't like there was nothing particularly secular about it.
Yeah, but it wasn't nothing particularly
Christian either.
Christian.
It was very just indie rock album.
Just indie. Yeah, exactly.
It was a great album.
It was fantastic.
But it was just indie rock. They weren't trying to do anything, which I appreciated.
Yeah, I mean they were just like,
let's just make a song for us.
Right.
Which really, if you listen to their other albums, they have a lot of those flavors of kind of indie rock singing about relationships.
Yeah, they do.
But they've always had like the token single that got on Christian radio.
Right.
And this one didn't really have that.
Like Work even. Yeah. Work is like, they say, Work, that's one of the biggest. I mean, that and Flood. Flood, they're the biggest Christian hits of the 90s or whatever. But this is the thing, is like, they don't even really talk about God. Like, Flood is like, if I can't swim after 40 days. And it's like, Noah! We're going to throw this on Christian
apparently
radio.
It has nothing to do with Noah.
It has nothing to do with Noah. He's like,
it's just a general metaphor for God, help me.
They're like, I need help because I'm not going to be able to keep doing this by myself. And it's not even necessarily for God.
Yeah.
It's like, just, I need someone stronger than me to help me. Or somebody that's equally as strong as me to carry the load a little bit. And like Work is like,
that's
really
all
about not being isolated. But like it's and also the whole it's the breathing that takes all the work. It's not the fear of drowning, it's the breathing that takes
the day-to-day life.
It's day-to-day life. And like really that song, it's not even, like I said, like I don't feel like it's really Christian-y at all. I mean, it's got like, it applies to everyone's life.
But it's almost more, it's almost like more, when you read Psalms, a lot of Psalms are David going,
right.
This really sucks.
Yeah.
This is hard.
I could see David saying, just in case, I'm going to leave my things packed so I can run away.
Yeah, I know.
Saul's still chasing me.
But like, I could almost hear, or even if you want to go darker, even some of the book Ecclesiastes, right? It's that kind of I'm despairing, but there is still a hope greater than myself type songs, which I like a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said though, is like a lot of these. I feel like a lot of these artists are just limited because of their label.
Mm-hmm.
That they're, I mean, obviously labels limit you.
Mm-hmm.
That's everybody's life.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, if you're a pop artist, you're kind of limited. If
right.
you're a country artist, you're kind of limited.
Right. You're limited just so much. And I just feel like Jars of Clay got a little bit of secular popularity there, but little tiny bit.
For
work. And work
it wasn't work. It wasn't
work. Was it Flood? Are you serious? I knew it was one of the two.
So here's how big Flood was. Do you know Sting, the lead singer of Police?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They toured with Sting.
Oh,
it's like how big Flood was. It's funny now, but they got huge backlash for touring with secular artists back in the day. And I'm like, oh yeah, because we wouldn't want to hear godly Christian music at a secular place.
Like, God forbid we play Christian music at Christian bowling night.
Like,
oh my goodness, why are we playing this music here? There are smokers in the other room.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I'm sorry, that's just great.
So Jars of Clay has had they've been the kings of Christian rock for sort of.
Right.
I mean, really, I think the best, if you want to make a secular comparison, they are REM. I know you don't listen to REM as much as me.
I've listened to REM
but
a lot. I actually play the whole like classic rock and punk. I put that on my computer at work. Straight up, yes, I'm Christian, but I don't just listen to Christian music. I do set boundaries. Yeah. Like, if a song is really agitating my spirituality, I turn it off.
Fair enough.
Or I skip it. But if I don't see nothing wrong with it and the words are good, just like, these artists, they got picked by a secular label, right?
Yeah.
If they were picked by a Christian label, they'd be singing the same thing. Just saying.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of a different variation. It wouldn't be as loud and they would not use distortion.
But REM actually has a similar sound to Jars of Clay. If you listen to their mid-90s stuff, Out of Time and Automatic for the People, if you listen to those two albums, they sound like early Jars of Clay so much. And they had a similar trajectory. If, like, Jars of Clay is like a miniature version of
REM.
Of what REM did in 30 years.
Right.
So REM's trajectory was really big underground group.
Well, so what REM did in 30 years, Jars of Clay did in 40 days.
Yeah, but it's not as impressive as it sounds.
No, my goodness.
I get you.
Yeah, that didn't go over the way I wanted it to.
So REM kind of started as like a cool little underground group. Then they hit the mainstream with an acoustic album, got huge, and then released some experimental albums, had some radio airplay, but not really that much, and just kind of tapered off. I feel like Jars of Clay did exactly that. They started in the middle of REM's career, where they started off with a huge acoustic album. Like, it went double platinum. It was huge. But then what happened with Jars of Clay is their first album sold 2 million. Their second album sold 1 million. Their third album sold 500,000.
Oh boy.
And so they are like, it's kind of hard to say you're a success when each of your albums
album
sells half of the previous album.
Yeah.
And so our record labels were telling us we were failures. But we're just like,
we hate you.
We were just doing the best we could, And by the time they kind of got to Work, which is, darn it, I can't think of that album now. Good Monster.
Yeah.
A pretty decent album. By the time they got to Good Monster, they weren't doing huge record sales, but their singles was big.
Right.
And then by the time they got to their last album, I say all that to say, by the time they got to 2013, their last album, they weren't even doing singles anymore. They were just making an album for them, let it be what it is.
We're like, yeah, we don't even care about our fans anymore.
I mean, I think they did, but they were just kind of done with
trying to impress
the machine.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what, we're done with radio, we're done with the machine.
Yeah.
We're just going to make music for us and our hardcore fans, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
And then they went down in that little valley and played music with their 50 friends.
Pretty much. So whatever happened to Jars of Clay, we've kind of given a brief history of Jars of Clay to talk about whatever happened to them. Well, after that last album, they went on tour and then just kind of said, you know what, we're good. We have succeeded in life. Bless you.
Thanks.
There's no longer a need to keep trying. And they technically are still a band.
Right.
But they're kind of a part-time band.
They're on sabbatical.
Well, not really, because they still do shows, but they're very periodic.
Yeah, they're like, oh, guys, so, by the way, we could do this show, next Saturday. I don't know how you're all feeling about it. But...
Pretty much. And it's interesting because each one has, kind of found their own little job. So, Dan Haseltine, the lead singer, he runs Blood and Water, which is their charity they started forever ago.
Right. Clean water for Africa.
Yeah. Which I'm cool with.
Whatever. Hey, why not? It's a non-profit. But
yeah, he's been running it but they've been running since the middle of Jars of Clay's tenure, but he's that's his thing now. Matt Odemark, one of the guitarists, he's now producing albums. He does mastering
we need to
for
find
CDs.
This guy.
I know, right? Hey, Matt, will you produce our album? And then Steve, he, like you said earlier, he is now a barber. Interestingly enough, he runs out of Gray Matter Studio, though. So, his barber shop is connected to Jars of Clay's personal studio.
Huh.
And then...
Oh, so is that where, what's his name, Matt?
Matt.
Is that where he's, the producer?
I'm assuming, it makes... If you already own your own studio... If you already own your
own studio, you just produce out of your own studio.
You might as well just keep producing out of... especially mixing, do it in the comfort of your own home, right?
Right. I mean, that sounds... Yeah.
And then...
Speaking of mixing, I found a real nice little, multi-mixer for $50.
Huh?
It's like a 6-channel, but anyway, sorry.
And then Charlie Lowell, he is now making music. He sort of formed his own band. What it is he just wrote a whole bunch of instrumental stuff.
Yeah.
And then he has other artists come in and sing.
Huh.
So it's kind of like a collaborative project, which I find interesting.
Yeah.
I listened to it. It wasn't horrible. It was just kind of modern pop sounding. So that's what Jars of Clay is up to. They're just kind of semi-retirement, just doing their own thing.
Dan Haseltine's enjoying the cooking.
Yes. Well, they actually released a video on YouTube. Anyhow, you can find it on YouTube. It's their If I Left the Zoo 20th anniversary. They released it in February. And they just played the whole entire album of If I Left the Zoo straight from beginning to end. And it's pretty cool to hear it live, actually. And yeah, as you said, Dan gained a little weight.
Yeah.
Bless his heart.
Hey, what you gonna do?
Yeah, you're enjoying your wife's cooking. What can you do?
Hey, make your wife happy.
So they're just kind of enjoying their lives, I guess. I mean, probably raising their kids,
Listen, the band isn't over. You are taking over. Okay? And you will be as good as we were.
Yeah. Jars of Clay, Mach 2, it's all their children.
No, dude, that would be lit.
That would be something. I mean, it would never be the same.
I mean, no, it turns into a Southern gospel band called Potter's Clay or something. It's no, what, we raised you wrong. We are a rock band. What have you done?
Well, Jars of Clay, they were always labeled a rock band,
and yet
but they never rocked. Well, alternative pop was their better term.
I mean, technically, for the 90s...
The 90s were much rockier than that.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, technically for the 90s, what's it called? Flood was okay for a rock song. But, later on for work, that's apparently only alternative. It's not rock.
Well, I think the thing is, if you listen to their entire discography, even listen to Good Monster, their quote-unquote rock album,
yeah,
it's not a rock album.
It's not even a rock album.
There's 2 rock songs, 3 technically 3 rock songs, distorted guitar, heavy bass, rock songs.
Right.
And the rest is like an alternative country album. A good alternative country album.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. It's not a rock album. So I say all that to say, Jars of Clay was never a rock band per se, but they were always a great alternative band.
Tis true.
And I don't know, maybe they will deem it worthy to make new music in the future. Maybe they'll just every 3 years or so they'll just do the 20th anniversary of the next album in line, and
Right.
that's the rest of their career. I don't know what they have planned.
Yeah, who knows? It's Jars of Clay.
I'm glad they're still. Apparently, I was listening to an interview with Steve Mason, and he said how now that they're all not touring, they spend more time together than they ever did when they were touring. Because when they were touring, it would just be, oh man, we got technical difficulties. We're just, as Solomon said, we're just going to keep this all uncut. Because
Untamed and uncut. You gotta pull this right here. There's that little lever.
Oh, there we go.
And then you have to push it in, and then you have to pop it. There it is.
Okay.
A few moments later.
So, I have no idea what I was going to say.
You said spending time together.
Oh yeah, they're spending much more time together apparently, because when they were on tour, it would be like, concert, bus, sleep. Concert, bus, sleep. Now, they all actually get to do stuff together, because he, does the barbershop thing out of the studio, and Charlie and Matt are over there, recording their music or whatever, so they all just hang out together now and just chill as friends. Good for them. And now, on to our last segment of the night.
What was it?
Random
Oh,
topic.
yeah, random topic. Oh,
So,
my goodness.
Random topic for tonight. I was kind of debating which one to go with. I think I want to make this one a little bit shorter, though, so I'll go with my first option. Is Christian music almost dead? And what I mean by that, I don't mean creativity and stuff, whatever. Christian market has always been accused of being lacking creativity, which I wholeheartedly disagree with. But it's always had that accusation, right?
Right.
What I mean...
Do you actually wholeheartedly disagree with that?
I mean, okay, here's my argument. In fact, we could almost make this its own topic.
Right.
But what I mean by that is Christian music is no different than any other genre. For every Amy Grant you have, there is a Poor Old Lou in the 77s.
Yeah.
Just like in pop music, for every Taylor Swift you have, you still have underground bands like the Smiths. I know that's old, but...
Oh, yeah.
Or even, I don't know, I'm trying to think of another more underground band, 21 Pilots. But what I mean is, for every one huge group or artist, there is two other underground artists that are way
I'd
creative.
say about 15.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's been the same way in the Christian market, right? For every Amy Grant, Michael W. Smith, there's other artists that are super talented and super creative. They just don't get as much attention.
Right. Like Rich Mullins.
Yeah, Rich Mullins, and he got attention.
He did get attention.
But he deserved so much more.
He did deserve so much more. Like he didn't get as much attention as Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith.
And he deserved
by
it.
far exceeded expectations that they never met.
Like, just in pure creativity. His lyricism was amazing.
Right.
But neither here nor there.
And his music.
Yeah,
his music was very creative.
Which, that was more his producer. But
right.
We're going to actually, another time, we'll do a topic on did they deserve better? And just pick our artists and fight. But neither here nor there.
Right, well, it's here and there.
I see what you did there. But what I mean by the Christian music market dying is we've said repeatedly throughout the podcasts here or videos, whatever, that usually the only thing that makes a Christian artist Christian is their record label. Generally speaking. I mean, yes, there is usually they're like, yes, I am Christian, I identify whatever. But with the advent of music streaming and the record label slowly kind of dying, is it kind of going to be like I predicted a few weeks ago, where I said, what if it went praise and worship was its own genre, so Hillsong, Elevation Worship,
Right.
Chris Tomlin, and then everyone else just had to float in the mainstream with whatever their genre is.
Right. Yeah.
Are we heading that direction? I would say as of right now, no, because we still have Lauren Daigle on For King Country
Yeah.
rocking the Christian charts. But is it a possibility in the next 20 years Christian music as we know it is going to be gone?
In the next 20 years, I would give it way sooner than that.
Really?
I'd give it maybe 10 years. Maybe.
think-
I mean, because of the direction, I feel like because of the direction that this generation is going. Like, I hardly know any kids in our youth group that don't listen to anything except for Hillsong, Elevation, Covenant, because that's what our church does, and
That's what the youth groups
that's
play.
what the youth groups play. And like, so I do feel like these songs aren't getting enough listening to. We're gonna have to put them out on their own because they're not making the station any money, and we're already going by
Yeah.
people's donations. So I feel like we've got it's a whole lot sooner coming
Than even 20
than
years.
even 20 years. Maybe 15, but I would really aim more towards the 5 to 10 year mark.
Before
Before
it's
the
just
15.
nothing but praise and worship,
Right.
and then
Just because, I mean, honestly, as myself, like, or as a teenager myself, I mean, I'm almost 20, but still, just
you're not too far removed.
I'm not too far removed. And the kids that are 12 years old now are listening to nothing but praise and worship in the church.
And it used to be like when I was a kid.
We used to, yeah.
Well, when I was a kid, we listened to Five Iron Frenzy, right?
Right, and Switchfoot
and-
wasn't even like really Christian. They were more secular than they were Christian, and
But-
that was listened to more by your age group.
Then
My
anyone
group doesn't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Like, who's Switchfoot? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like you may be right. It's an interesting thought, because when you look at the artists I grew up with, DC Talk, Switchfoot, Five Iron Frenzy, etc., those guys, they didn't do explicitly praise and worship music.
Right.
Even artists like Third Day didn't do praise and worship music till later in their careers, and they still would do their southern rock thing off and on.
But if you noticed, your age group, as your age group moved on, and the next generation started listening to music, the music conformed to what they were into.
Mm-hmm.
So now, what's that saying for our, the future underneath me, like the 12-year-olds that we got here in about 3 or 4, 12-year-olds in 5, 6 years, they'll be, legal adults, and all they listen to is the praise and worship, which isn't wrong. I'm not going to say that they're wrong for listening to that,
Yeah, but I feel like it's not entirely their fault. It's also what the radio plays,
right.
what lands in the Christian charts, and Christian music has this weird thing, particularly since 2010. I noticed the trend, and after we got to like 2010 or so, that if it hasn't been produced in the past 6 months, we just don't play it.
Right.
It's like Christian music has developed amnesia, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why can't we play? We have classic rock stations. We have disco stations. Why can't we play and promote Keith Green still?
Right.
Why can't
What's
we...
wrong with that? Because, like, all his proceeds go to his wife.
Why can't we play and promote even old Michael W. Smith? Give me some 90s Michael W. Smith,
Come on, we all want to know what friends are.
Yeah.
Friends are friends forever when the Lord's the Lord of them.
I mean, even, give me some... Rich Mullins barely even gets played.
FFH.
I mean, yeah, like, we have 50 years of Christian music that just gets ignored.
Right. Everything, and honestly, I'm just going to straight up say this. I feel like after so many months of a song being out, it starts getting ignored.
Yeah, that's
I
why
feel like
6 months.
I feel like we only live in the past 6 months with music.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that's with Christian music, because I mean I've listened to secular radio, and I'll be listening to a song by let's just say by One Direction.
Yeah.
But
Which
then,
who haven't been in for 3 years.
Who haven't been in for 3 years.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they're still played all the time.
Yeah.
And Adele's old songs are still played. You've got, like, pretty much anybody you can think of. Their old songs are still being played that are older than 6 months. And then...
You still hear a Beatles song.
Also hear, and the same because it's pop. Because it's a pop station. You'll hear Mother Mary. Or what's it called? Let It Be. You'll hear Let It Be after you hear a 2018 song by a real hot pop artist.
Yeah.
Then you'll hear Let It Be by the Beatles. But you don't see that in Christian music.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see that in Christian music, and I feel like just a lot of it is because we're trying to...
We're in survival mode.
Right, I feel like, we're in survival mode because all the churches are like, how are we going to keep this fresh for our students? Mm-hmm. Well, this is the newest song out. Okay, so that's the one that gets played constantly on YouTube because that's what all the choirs are listening to. That's what all the music directors are doing. That's what all the musicians in the bands are listening to. So we've got, thousands upon thousands of Christian churches in USA alone listening to these very
specific genre.
Specific covenant, that very specific genre, and it leaves the Michael W. Smith out. I mean, because that's a Wednesday night song that, the pastor's mom plays on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And nobody else needs to know except the drummer, and it's okay because it's a drum. I can follow her beat. She's good.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we just don't get the attention to the old stuff. We don't appreciate it.
We don't appreciate it. We just don't remember, and it's one of the worst things you can do is forget stuff.
Right.
There is so much. I was reading an article about it recently that was just talking about this very thing, and it's just it's good and it's bad. It's good that these artists are getting a fair shake by non-Christians now.
Right, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, you hear For King and Country and Lauren Daigle. I hear them on secular radio all the time.
So, that's good. They're getting a fair shake.
And that is good. I can appreciate that.
But I also miss the days of, this was my music.
Right.
This was my music, not a lot of other people listen to it. And I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm old. But I just... It's going to be sad if just Christian music as a genre dies, because it produced some good stuff.
It did. And
it's still producing decent stuff, but you just don't hear the decent stuff on the radio as much.
Right. But I feel like...
And it has a lot to do with, usually what makes something Christian is its record label, and record labels are dying.
But I feel like that would open a new portal to the music industry if you're not Christian, then you're just this independent. I feel like that would open a new door, because then we would be exposed to more creative stuff by other people, independent bands, which then I think that would just completely put us into an entire new just a new century of music, essentially. Like, wow, remember, like we're going to be able to say, remember the days when everything was on a label? Now, everybody is making music. You can just dial a station in, and whatever's around is what's playing.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be good to a point, but...
I mean, K-Love is still a mammoth station.
Right.
You can't get away from it.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know. I hope you're not right, that, we still have a little bit longer, but you'll probably, I think, if nothing else, we'll see the death of the record label slowly, where the Christian record labels will pretty much not pick you up unless you're doing praise and worship.
Right. The thing, though, is then it'd make it even harder
for some of these artists
to get exposure. Because, they're like, yeah, but, I am very Christian. We are very Christian in what we say. But it's not praise and worship. It's more of life experience. direct,
And the secular
talking
label's
about
gonna
God.
be, you're
And they're
too
like,
Christian.
whoa, you're too Christian. But then the Christian's like, well, you're not worship enough.
Yeah, like Reliant K have ever made it as big as they did if they hadn't been on Goatee.
Right. Which was,
Goatee
Toby Mac's independent label.
Yeah. Like, we still have Goatee Records. We still have Tooth and Nail Records. Like, there's still the smaller record labels that have good names.
Yeah.
And I hope maybe we can turn this around and get a... let the non-mainstream praise and worship get their names out there.
Right.
And
hey, like, all we need is a little more of this, Lauren Daigle, King of Country stuff going on. And I feel like we'll be okay. We'll get brought back to
the record label's like, oh, this is making us money again.
Yeah, this is making us money. Covenant, you're off.
Yeah. Where's the next Reliant K?
Right.
Where's the next whatever? I mean, I would love to see a ska revival. Right?
Yeah. Right?
So that's our thoughts. If anyone's listening out there, put in the comments, what's some artists you miss hearing on the radio? Where do you see Christian music going in the future? And I know I try not to be like most YouTube channels out there, but liking, subscribing, it does help us. It lets people hear what we have to say. And we just like having conversations with each other and with people out there.
Right.
So,
well, if you're ever bored and just want to hear some, like, really crazy thought, just tune in, man. And, like, get your family. And, like, we're pretty family friendly,
Yeah.
Just listen to us with your family. Please. We're begging you.
Also, though, I like a good conversation. So, feel free to join the conversation.
Yeah.
And
we have an email.
Yes,
if you guys want to email, what is it? brotherskingmedia@giggle.com or gmail.com.
It's Brothers King Music.
It's Zoho.
At Zoho. ZOHO.com.
Yeah, Brothers King Music. All one word, lowercase, at Zoho, ZOHO.com. COM.
I regret choosing that domain now. I should probably switch to Gmail.
Yeah, we just need to go back to Gmail. It's a whole lot easier to use. Because, like, you tried sending me something, I was like, what the heck is this, man?
All right, guys, keep being the glimpse of eternity.
See ya.